Well, Blackberry has released its earnings for the 3 months ending March 2nd. Its Z10 model has helped the company swing to a profit from a loss of 125 million US dollars. But as Kristiaan Yeo reports, its future still hinges on how well its new phone will do in the US.
Newly rebranded Blackberry lived up to its name today, going back into the black. Once the pride of Canadian technology, Blackberry's become a topic of embarrassment here. But the berry could be bouncing back. The firm posted a $98 million profit for the quarter, which ended in March, boosted in part by the launch of its new BlackBerry 10 smartphone, a considerable upturn compared to a year ago. That's despite revenue plummeting $1.5 billion and the company losing 3 million users in just a year.
You have to consider that BlackBerry is making less revenue this quarter than it did last quarter, and it speaks to the work that Thorsten Heinz has been doing in really slimming down BlackBerry and making it a more efficient operation.
Thorsten Heinz took over as CEO in January of last year. Since then, there's also been a renewed focus on the hyper-competitive consumer market, including slick Apple-style product launches and fighting talk from the CEO himself.
This is one of the biggest launches in our industry. And today is actually not the finish line. It's the starting line.
The firm says it sold 1 million Z10 phones in Canada, the UK and elsewhere. But in the all-important US market, BlackBerry's success still hangs in the balance. Since the phone has just debuted there, it won't play into the company's latest financial report. But it doesn't bode well so far. Citigroup reportedly told clients this week the American launch was disappointing.
You have to remember, it's only been on the market there for about a week, I think. It just came out, and the carriers haven't been celebrating it perhaps as much as they have here in the Canadian market. But I've seen other analyst firms that are estimating that 8 million BlackBerry Z10 units could be moved by the end of this year.
BlackBerry might be making headway in Canada and elsewhere, but unless it reignites interest in the US, it'll keep seeing users and revenues decline. It remains to be seen whether American consumers blackball BlackBerry's latest offerings. Kristiaan Yeo, CCTV, Toronto.
BlackBerry closed down nearly 1% and is now fractionally up in after-hours trading. And joining us now from San Francisco for more on what's behind BlackBerry's surprisingly strong quarter is AJ Balance. He's a senior product manager at Gigwalk. AJ, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
AJ, we're going to get straight into it. BlackBerry posted a surprisingly quarterly profit. Is this a sign that the turnaround plan is succeeding?
It's a great question. I think it is a little bit early to tell. Definitely some promising signs today. The Z10 device to date selling over 1 million units, much better than expected. BlackBerry finally hitting profitability after a long time. Definitely positive signs. I think there are some big challenges ahead as well.
Now, you said that the BlackBerry sold about 1 million new Z10 devices in this quarter. Now, even though the number is encouraging, last week the Z10 did not get such a warm reception when it rolled out here in the US, which is a key market for the Canadian smartphone maker. How important is the US market to BlackBerry going forward? What does the company have to do to capture more market share here in the US?
So it's definitely a competitive market here in the US, as you mentioned, Michelle. So the big Goliaths in the room, Samsung and Apple, have made the competition incredibly fierce, both in terms of hardware and software. So BlackBerry needs to both compete on hardware features and functionality, as well as creating an app ecosystem that draws both consumers and developers to develop on the platform. I think that piece will be the biggest challenge going forward and the biggest area where they will need to focus.
Well, the app market, that has been a big challenge for BlackBerry. One of the advantages for BlackBerry has been its secure email system. A lot of loyalists like myself like the keypad, which is only coming out with the Q10 in May. Do you think that's going to substantially increase the sales?
So I think that will target the current users, as you mentioned, who are very fond of that feature functionality of the keyboard. I think the Z10 release right now is really trying to compete with, on the consumer side, with Apple and Samsung. I think the Samsung device, particularly, so the functionality of the S3 device, the Galaxy S3, is very similar to the Z10. If you look at resolution, processing speed, hardware features like the camera, it's very much neck and neck with BlackBerry, and I think that's what BlackBerry had to do to try to continue to compete.
But is this similarity a good thing? I mean, should BlackBerry differentiate itself more rather than be just another Samsung? And
it's a great
perhaps
question.
a lesser version?
It's a great question. It will definitely be a challenge. They have caught up to the S3 in terms of feature functionality. They're behind, however, on the next generation of Samsung phones. So the Galaxy S4 launched a couple of weeks ago, or announced a couple of weeks ago, launching in a few weeks, actually pushes the bar even further with faster processing speeds that allow companies like the one I work at, Gigwalk, to take advantage of better processing and give more, for our customers, our businesses, better ability to harness relationships with their users and collect data faster and process data faster.
Now, the Z10 did very well in the UK and Canada. In fact, reports that some retailers in the UK ran out of stock, but its subscription base fell this quarter from 76 million to 76 million from 79 million. How can it recover these subscribers?
That's a great question. So a lot of the subscriber losses are obviously problematic. I think they need to continue to excel at what they're good at and what people will stay with them for. So features like the keyboard for enterprise customers, for the security and enterprise features, they need to continue to double down on those and also enrich the consumer side to try to draw people over from other platforms. Thorsten Heinz mentioned that 55% of the million devices purchased of the Z10 were users from other platforms. If that trend continues, it'll actually compel developers like us, Gigwalk and other companies, to start looking at BlackBerry as a serious development platform and something we might need in order to better serve our customers.
Now, there was talk that companies like Lenovo, Nokia, Microsoft, even Amazon may be interested in acquiring BlackBerry. So does BlackBerry's better than expected earnings make the company more attractive for a takeover target, or does it protect it from a takeover target?
So I think it probably recaptures the attention definitely of the parties who've been interested to date, probably some other new folks as well. I think it's definitely, it could be ripe for an acquisition if it continues to capture user share from other devices. I think that's sort of the big focal point and something that could swing the balance in the future. So definitely recaptures interest, I think, and probably keeps people looking at what's coming 3, 6, 9 months down the road in terms of earnings and subscribers.
Well, shares of BlackBerry are up more than 23% year to date, but they're down 88% over the last 5 years. Thanks for that insight, AJ Balance, Senior Product Manager at Gigwalk, joining us live from San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you.